guys. Welcome and good morning. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling like that character on Community who says hi 3 times. Okay. Anyway, I am Rebecca from Chemnitz, and today we are just going to have some fun and do some dyeing while I have the house to myself for a couple of hours. I've got to make sure the sound is off on all of the computers. But thank you for joining me. And so the first thing I have to do is turn on all these pots. Oh, cool. There we go. Now I did start heating them already, so they're a bit warm. But in each of these pots, I have to figure out. So in the front two pots, I have 8 cups of water in each of them. And then in the back pot, I have 10 cups of water. I have not added any vinegar yet to any of the pots, but I need to make sure I can actually see. Good morning. I need to make sure, let's see if I can pop this out. All right, I'm popping out the chat. So that way I can see it, because I forgot. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well this morning. All right, I can now see everything. And yeah, so I thought that we would just have some fun and do some dyeing and play around with a lot of different fiber types. So I've got 4 skeins pre-soaking right now. 2 Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn, 1 Knit Picks Stroll fingering weight yarn, and I also have a skein of, just to show how old this is, they call it just bare merino silk, but this is gloss. It's the same fiber content as the gloss fingering weight yarn, so it's wool and silk. But back in the day, they didn't name their bare yarn bases as the yarn line that it was represented, and I just haven't used it, and so I want to use it today. And yeah, so I'm open to a lot of suggestions for things we do. I do have a couple things that I definitely want to do. If you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see that there was a really sunny yellow colorway that I made the other day. I sort of want to do something like that again, but this time using vinegar. I mean, I haven't shared that video yet, but I want to make a really pretty yellow gradient using some yellow McCormick's food coloring and vinegar. So that's one of the projects I have planned. And another one with one of the Wool of the Andes is I have this. This is Wilton's Ivory food coloring. And I don't know what we would get, but I want to try dyeing into it to see what we would get. So the Ivory food coloring has yellow number 5, yellow number 6, red number 40, and blue number 1. So there's potential for something kind of cool in here. I expect that the overall color will be pretty muted because, I mean, it's for ivory. So I don't know if we'll get a cool pastel or what, but I kind of want to go for it and see what we can get. Oh, the nice thing is like, I should check. I can see when my pot starts to boil because I can see it on the camera here. Okay, so one of the colors that I want to definitely do on one of the Wool of the Andes yarns is the ivory. And the reason why I want to do the color breaking on the Wool of the Andes yarn is since colors strike faster to stroll, if you want to see how colors break apart, it actually is a little better if you can slow down the color absorption. So in theory, I could start with even less vinegar than I might add. Actually, maybe I will start with just 1 tablespoon of vinegar in the pot. And so then if you need to add more vinegar to get the rest of the colors to bind, you can. But since the reds will bind faster than some of the yellows and blues, if you can slow down the overall absorption, you can sort of stretch out the breaking of it. And so, so those are the 2 that I've got planned so far, but I haven't decided on the color for the silk. I'm a little tempted to do violet just because that's, but I really have to just also keep myself from doing violet on every single new yarn base that I want to play around with, but I do think I want to break violet, try to break violet on the silk blend. But I also think, okay, have a lot of other new colors around. So let's tilt you guys there. Can you see? So, well, of course, now that I'm showing you guys, I can't really see. So I've got sky blue, which is just blue number 1. So that's not something that would break. I've got buttercup yellow, which has yellow 5, yellow 6, and some red number 3, which was why I was interested in getting it. I mean, yellows, when they're really concentrated, tend to look a little more orange. And so when I'm doing the dip dyed yellow today, I'm trying to get a little less orange. A question, does yellow bind as slowly as the blues? I don't think so. I think yellow tends to bind a little faster than blues because you can, but you don't necessarily see a ton of breaking, and it depends on the proportion of the colors. So when we did Wilton's teal, we saw breaking we got a blue-green and we got a blue. So the yellow absorbs faster, but I think that it worked well because there's a lot more blue than there is yellow in the pot. So if you have a ton of yellow with a teeny bit of blue, you're not really going to notice anything. So, yeah. And then, all right, so other colors, I've got moss green, I've got leaf green, I've got creamy peach, which is yellow number 6, red number 3, and yellow number 5. And then I've got cornflower blue. So these are some new colors that are options for playing with. I also have a bunch of the old favorites around. So you need to figure out how to get gray. Gray with food coloring is going to be hard. One of the best things you can probably do to get a gray is to layer the colors. So if you start with, versus mixing a pot and going in, you might have to do like one color after another. I found that on some yarns, grape Kool-Aid sort of reads a bit gray. Yeah, I think that looking at some color mixing and ways to make grays out of primary colors and stuff might help. But gray is really hard to get because if you just use black food coloring and use less of it, you're going to get like a purple. So grays are complicated. So I also have today, which got a little notebook, because since I've got like more than just one theme, I want to make sure that I can remember what I've done. Oh, I can bring you guys back up. So I plan to just keep some notes for myself and have like a little dying notebook so that I can refer back and not have to go through the whole live stream. But yeah, and then so in addition to the yarns that I already have pre-soaking, so the Stroll and the Wool of the Andes soaked in just tap water overnight because I set it up so I'd be ready to go. The merino silk blend is up here, and that's been pre-soaking for maybe 40 minutes or so. But I also, and this isn't heavy, so I don't know why it sounded like a struggle. I also have brought some other yarns down here with me that maybe we can play with. Ooh, with purple cabbage. You got a nice light gray with purple cabbage? That sounds cool. So speaking of grays, I've got this Stroll fingering tonal yarn in Thundercloud. And it was when Knit Picks had the Stroll yarns on sale. It was the yarn of the month on sale. And I think that the Stroll fingering at the time was out of stock. It is, well, I haven't checked this morning. Stroll is out of stock right now, but it should come back at the beginning of March. But the Felicia yarn is a reasonable replacement. But anyway, I got this because I thought it would be fun to over dye. So this is a candidate for today. I've got 2 other skeins of Stroll fingering. I've got a Stroll Glimmer, which has I don't know if you can see the shimmer of the spirulina, maybe because it's not like light hitting it. But it has only 70% merino, and it's got the 5% stellina. So, I mean, I kind of like want to dip everything in violet today. I want to like make a sparkly violet. But I also, the other base I brought downstairs, and I have other things upstairs that I could grab as well, but I have some Imagination Fair yarn. And this one is 50% wool, 25% alpaca, and 25% nylon. And it is so, so soft. I made a blank out of it for the soft blank special, but yeah. So I am excited to play with all of these, and so we'll see how much we actually do today. But I thought it would be fun to just have a bunch of stuff on hand, and so I'm happy to take some requests. If you haven't heard about the ChemKnits Dialong that's going to start a week from today, there are some details on my website. I don't know if I put the link in this video description, but on chemknits.com you can find more information about the Dialong, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have starting next Monday, or actually technically Sunday night. I'm going to have live streams every day, and we're going to, each one day live stream will have a theme for the kind of technique we're going to do, and we're just going to dye a lot of homemade and commercial blanks. And so it'll be really, really fun. And yeah, I'll be using, I think, pretty much exclusively Knit Picks yarns. I have a link in this video description to my affiliate link to the Bare Yarns. And I've shared a bunch of videos lately about how to make your own blanks in case you don't want to buy one of the commercial blanks. Even though I happen to love their commercial blanks, I know that it's much more expensive than maybe making your own. So we're going to have a lot of fun. But I've got one boiling pot, so we are about ready to get started. And of course I cannot see which, oh here, no, won't let me move that. Which one, aha. I need to make sure that I don't shut off the wrong camera. No, you didn't miss much, I have barely just started. Ooh, Canada versus Russia hockey right now? That is pretty cool. We have a bunch of hockey fans in the family, but mostly college hockey. But that means that the cool thing about college hockey is that a lot of the people end up going to the Olympics. So, yeah, I've seen like Mike Eruzione at like at a bean pot once because he was on BU's team. But your feed is just spinning. You can see the comments, but not the video. Okay, it says that there's bad video settings. I'm here. Let me know if others having issues. Yeah, if you start to have problems with the feed, let me know and I'll see what I can do. I mean, I see it coming, I see my live feed coming through on my computer. So if it's just spinning, and I guess if you're only seeing comments, you can't hear me, maybe try restarting your browser. All right, so in this pot that is bubbling, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons, approximately. All right, so it's 2 tablespoons of vinegar. This is why I'm going to need my notebook to keep track. You can see that you think that there's a big delay. Yes, I think that I'm not sure, it's probably like a 30 to 60 second delay. All right, so I'll put my camera back on. Okay, so in my notebook, I'm going to date it. And I'm going to draw my pots. So you can see that right now I'm just doing a little sketch. So that way as the dye dots exhaust, I know what I started with. Let's do 50 drops of yellow. Just got through your fresh, oh awesome, I'm glad that it's working. Okay. Now, everything I'm doing today is food coloring based. I want to do a live stream, just like a dye-along fun day, kind of like this, with acid dyes at some point. But the boys will be coming home for lunch, and so I don't want to have to try to like clean that all up with them running around. So, and okay, well hopefully I have enough. But I'm going to be using McCormick's yellow food coloring, which is just composed of yellow number 5. And so if you looked at the yarn that I dyed and shared yesterday, you can see that I call it almost a marigold. You got like when it got really saturated, it leaned very orange. And so today I'm trying to see if maybe with a little less, I get a little less of the orange. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13, 21, 22, 23, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 48, 49, 50. Okay. So 50 drops of yellow. I don't dye a lot of yellow typically. Mainly because, I mean, it's not a color that I usually wear, but it is, and it's not a color I usually pick. But the yarn that I dyed made me so happy that I really wanted to do some more. Let me see. Yeah, so, oh no, an architect just showed up at your home? Aw. All right, so now I need to just rinse off my gloves because I got a little bit of food coloring on here, but we're ready. I'm going to also reduce the heat on this guy. So a lot of times, especially with food colorings that have red number 3, I like to wait until immediately before I am going to start dip dyeing to add the color and the acid to the pot. But as you can see, I've added the color and I haven't started dip dyeing yet. I don't think yellows really tend to crash out, so I'm a little less concerned about that. But that is one reason why frequently I will mix colors in a separate cup and then add it to the dye bath. Here we go. Hello and welcome. Okay, so I've got the Stroll fingering weight yarn that I pre-soaked. So I pre-soaked this overnight, and I didn't put it through a salad spinner or anything. It's damp, it's not dripping, but we're ready to dip dye in this yellow bath that is just below a boil. So the other thing that I'm planning to do differently is add it sort of fast. I'm still planning on dipping, but you can see even just as I am moving it that this took up color super, super fast. Whoa. Okay, I don't have all my tongs. Do I have here we go. All right, that went really, really fast. I mean, that's also the thing when you don't have a lot of food coloring. Okay, that's clear. Whoa, that was fast. So it's a nice bright yellow. It's still pretty, maybe I guess you just even want to go faster. That's still very marigold, a tiny bit orange, but woo! Maybe so again, I started off talking about less acid to slow things down. I think that if you wanted this to go slower, I just started with 2 tablespoons of vinegar, maybe go down to 1. More acid can help sort of speed up the absorption of stuff. So let's leave that in for 5 minutes. But that color, whoo, that's there. Yeah, it's a very, very bright sunshine yellow. And so I'm curious how this one will compare to the one that had 10 more drops. I mean, the colors I feel like that I spent a little more time dip dyeing the other one, but another reason why I wanted to redo this is that so I like to reuse dye baths sometimes. And I was doing a video with some Kool-Aid packets, and I had 4 Kool-Aid packets in the pot, and then the water had cleared. And so I was like, oh, I'll just use this acid for, another project. Of course, I didn't check the pH. That would have been smart. But I decided to just go ahead and use I think it was 4 packets and about 8 cups of water. So that amount of citric acid. And then I added 50 drops of the yellow food coloring to get the yarn that I shared on Instagram yesterday. So I was curious if maybe, I mean, the really vibrant yellow is still really, really pretty. And I still really love it. I just like have like a purpose and a reason and a friend that I'm looking for more of like the perfect yellow. But it's very bright and happy. So I am super, super pleased with that. Uh, and so now I have to think about the next colors. So we've talked about my ivory desire. I'm tempted. I don't know if I should go low and start with, not that a half a teaspoon of dye is low, because half a teaspoon of food coloring is actually a lot, and that's the amount that I use to get some really, really intense punchy colors. But since I'm expecting this to be pale, I don't know if I should go to a whole teaspoon of dye. What do you guys think? All right, I am super, super curious. Sailor Moon hair color, I love it. Okay, let's see. I've got, the funny thing is that when I start dyeing yarn in my kitchen, then I start to like, excuse me, get myself a little like boxed in because I've got the tripod and the stove, and so then I can't get dye half. But okay, so what I'm doing is I'm getting myself half a cup of water, and I'm preparing to add. How much of the food coloring do you guys think I should do? Do you think I should go for the whole teaspoon? Yeah, because I expect. Oh, pale. Oh no, you guys. I need a consensus. And of course, there's a delay, so that's why it takes me. But okay, it's gonna take me a moment to open this up. Okay, it's a little warm back here, but I'll still sort of come over. And of course, this is when I really need to be wearing gloves. But you can see that this is unopened. Ooh, you know what I need? I need to have like a rinse cup that maybe will get like a cool mixture of colors. Let me grab a little cup. So whenever I have to rinse stuff off. I don't know. Yeah, you guys can kind of see that. Okay. Let's do a whole piece. Oh wait, I should double check what you guys have requested. I can also do either 2/3 teaspoon spoon. So, half teaspoon. Are you going for a deep color? You're afraid it would just be brown or yellow? Okay, then you know what? Let's, for the sake of science, let's go with a half teaspoon. That's what I do with the other new Wilton's colors. And then if I don't love the yarn, okay, that does look kind of nice and brown. If I don't like the way the yarn turns out, you can see how I start off. It kind of looks like tea. Oh, that's been 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to turn off that front pot as I'm mixing and just kind of leave that in there. And now it looks rather yellow. Oh, I haven't added any acid here yet, but all right, I'm going to get a half teaspoon of ivory. Whoa, it's very, so sometimes they feel really thick. This one feels sort of like a little like, not as thick as molasses, more like, I don't know, it's not, doesn't feel quite as viscous as some of the other colors. Okay, so in this non-clear cup, because that's what I've got today, I have half a cup of water. And so I'm just stirring to dissolve this. And, you know, I can see the bottom of the cup. It's not very opaque. So I think that the color will be rather pale, but I think that also that's okay, and we sort of want to see what we get. Where on earth are my tongs? Hopefully they're not in the sink. That would be a bummer. Let's check the, aha, they're in the dishwasher. The clean dishwasher, I'll add. That's why I couldn't find them before. Okay, so this is still very particulate-y, but our pot right here is still heating up. So in a lot of the other dip diathons, I started with 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Let's start with 1. So we've got 1 tablespoon of vinegar in this pot. And I have a feeling we might end up wanting to over dye this yarn. But so I set it up with 8 cups of water, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon of ivory. That's in 1/2 cup of water. It might turn out orange rust. Yeah, I have a feeling that it'll, I mean, I'm mixing in a red cup, but a lot of times a 1/2 teaspoon of food coloring in some water will start to look really opaque. And this looks not opaque. So it looks very, I mean, it looks kind of like tea. Okay, let's go ahead and pull out our buttery sunshine yarn. So I'm sort of wrapping it around my tongs because you can see that that dye bath is completely clear, which means that we can reuse it for something else. But I want to get as much of the water off and sort of keep it in the pot just to reuse the acid. And, you know, it's hot, so there's an efficiency there as well. All right. And sort of like spaghetti. So we do have actually some white at the end. This is a very, very happy yarn. And now I need to set it aside so it can cool so I can wash it later. All right, so we're about to start bubbling there. Good morning. Yeah, no, it's this is ivory, so I'm expecting it to be rather pale. But if it's too pale, I might then, I don't think I'd over dye the yarn today if it's too pale, because I want to dry and see how it compares with bare yarn, just so that way we know, and I can talk about that in the recap. But yeah, I guess I got to get us ready to go. So right now I'm going to be using the Bare Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn, 100 grams, and I pre-soaked it overnight. But, you know, if you watch my videos, you know that overnight isn't really necessary. It's just sometimes easy to set up a pre-soak ahead of time. Then you can hit the ground running with your early morning dyeing sessions. All right. So, and I've got it, I like to hold the yarn sort of by a tie, so that way I can kind of keep an eye out for the old yarn barf situations where you end up with things tangled. But I find if I spend most of the time holding the yarn through the loop of the skein, and then it doesn't usually end up getting too tangled for me. But I'm also bad, and if you have problems with yarn getting tangled, then I really, really recommend that you start, adding more ties to it. But let's go ahead and add. Okay, so here's our ivory, and you know, it looks a lot like copper, but very pale. I mean, this, I'm going to just lower this. I'm not even dipping up and down. I'm just going to go straight for it and sort of slowly, I guess I can dip up and down. Okay, so we've got some like tannish. Okay, actually this might be a little slower than I expected. Oh, I only added 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I was like, why is this like not, and this is non-superwash yarn. Well, that's actually not bad. I mean, I don't know about any breaking per se. And I mean, we're definitely looking more rust versus ivory. But this, towards this tip, we're starting to, okay, that's getting hot. See it be a little more ivory-esque. Yeah, so what I'm curious about is if the rest of this color will bind, or if I'll need to add some more vinegar. So, I mean, it actually, oh, look, you can see the center feels a little more yellow, I guess, than the rest right now. Oh, but just barely. Okay, so we will see if all of this absorbs to the yarn. We'll give it 5 minutes. Then we'll come check on it. And I'm back. Oh, hello from Japan. Yeah, it's a very pale version. It's definitely more, there's more red, there's more orange to it than the first yellow. Here, I'll stick the first yellow back in frame for comparison. So it's definitely got, it's a really nice peach, actually. So it's an orange, but not, you know, it's very, I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's a pale orange, but I definitely see, oh, it's pretty. I like it. Oh, okay. Here I am. Yeah, that's actually, there's a lot more color than I expected. And I did use a lower concentration of acid than I usually start out with for the Whitman's colors. I just started sort of, I'm always tweaking things. So I'm tweaking my Breaking Violet recipe. And so I started, the other day I did a stroll one where I started with only 1 tablespoon of vinegar in 8 cups of water. And the finished blues were my favorite ones. So, you know, discovering that, oh, when I'm dip dyeing, the second round has more blue. That's because it's more dilute. The acid is more dilute. And so you get, like, the blues take longer to absorb. So it's pretty cool. I think that I will do violet with the, I think I will do violet with the silk, the gloss yarn. I'm a little tempted, and I don't have another stroke soaked. I'm tempted to do a bit of Breaking Violet today, so I might do, I think, the silk and do that in some violet, and then I'm tempted to redo a bath. Yeah, I really wonder how it would look with white icing. I bet you would use a little less, but it probably just shifts it, you know, just a hair. And if you're going to add a tiny bit of yellow or brown, it would probably take it too far. So it might be a toothpick, like dipped toothpick might be enough to just shift the color a bit. So, all right, I think that I want to do, well, we're going to do a bunch of violet today, I think. So first, I will get rid of, so here I go thinking that I would reuse the dye bath, but I want to start off with less acid in here. But good thing I already have another 8 cups of water measured and ready to go. But I'm pouring, ooh, that's heavy. I'm pouring over the sink. Eek. Okay, so I can, you know, if we do on the other wool of the Andes, different one, but eventually I will swap, I think, those spots. But I'm going to get some violet cups ready. ready to go. Okay. Oh, but actually, I need to pre-soak. Gotta pre-soak the other yarns that I do. I think I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna do 2 different Broken Violets, I think, next, and then we can decide. But I'm gonna do a single dipped dyed violet in the pot I just added more water to, and I'm gonna have that one have, I'll do like my standard stuff, but then I'm gonna do a double dip of Stroll and then the Stroll Selena at the same time. Because, and I'm curious if, because I've heard with too much heat and too much dye, you can kind of dull the sparkle a bit. But so I don't think I've actually like submerged it in a dye pot before. So I want to see, and I want to make another skein of Broken Violet anyway, so may as well do 2 at a time. You just started watching your, oh good, I'm glad you like watching me dye yarn. You have nowhere to let it dry. Well, do you have, I have now in a bathtub, I have a drying rack that I've set up. That's because sometimes things drip a bit more. Okay, I'm going to turn that heat off. We'll take that out in just a second. So I'm adding these yarns into soak. What time is it? It's 9:38. Okay. So these will be ready to go at 10. What's funny is that the Selena yarn, the Stroll yarn without the Selena, and maybe it's because of the silver fiber or something, but it looks more ivory versus like a, the Selena makes the yarn almost read and feel a little more gray, which is kind of funny. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, let's see. See this yarn in the middle here? This is the Stroll Glimmer. This is Stroll, and this is the Wool of the Andes. So you can see the coloration there. You've been dyeing for years now, and you're still amazed by how the colors disappear from the water. It's like magic. It certainly feels like magic sometimes. It's a lot of fun. But even like if you have a spare towel bar or something, you can have the yarn dry there. So I used to, before I bought the new drying rack, I have just like a towel bar that I would use. So again, I'm kind of wrapping it to try to save some of this dye bath in case we decide to reuse it with another color. But this yarn actually, for ivory, I was concerned that we weren't going to see much at all, and we actually have a really nice, deep, it's a medium tone. It actually reminds me a bit of the tones that you get with when you're using a wool acrylic blend, because the color is overall kind of muted. I mean, if we were doing copper, for example, the color would be way, 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 way more intense. And just compare this to the Stroll that we did at the beginning. This is like brightness, and this one is pretty, but not the brightness. It's not as saturated of a color. And the bowl is hot. Yeah. Well, I added 2 to the pre-soak. I had added 2 things there. So the reason why I'm now going to sort of switch. Oh, that's not. That's good. Oh, okay. Let's try not to make a huge mess. Oh, did I not have? I turned off the back. Oh, that's kind of a bummer. Okay, but this will bring. Oh, but of course, the ones that I want to do in this pot are pre-soaking, so I'm not quite ready for that. Okay, but I can start mixing my violets. Let's see. I'm rinsing off my teaspoon so that way I can use this. And if you were me and you were a half cup, also rinsing up the cup, you would be over here. Okay, and I'm going to dry my spoon off with a paper towel before going into my violet container. Oh, you have 7 kids, so shifting the yarn out of the way so they can shower? Sure. Yeah, PVC pipe towel rack is an excellent idea. If it's warm out, you could even potentially dry outside, although direct sunlight isn't always a good thing with food coloring based yarns. But yeah, the limited space for something to dry, especially with a big house full of people, that can be a limitation. Yeah, we're fortunate that we have, because it's like a jacuzzi tub, and so we have a separate shower. So I'm the only person that ever uses that tub, and not that frequently. So yeah, okay. I'm gonna do a half. So right here, this is a half teaspoon and half a cup of water. And I'm gonna get another cup. This one will be a Peppa Pig cup. If I can find here we go. Got things all around. So in Peppa, we are gonna do a full teaspoon and half a cup of water. And that's because I'm going to dye 200 grams with this one in this pot. So the reason for having double the dye is because we're going to double the yarn. At least that's that's the plan. And that's pretty good. Yeah, I found that maybe I can do, using the half teaspoon, I think maybe around 5 skeins of yarn at that potency from one bottle or so. I mean, if you're using less or more, it's fine. I mean, I think that's I ended up liking the 1/4 teaspoon of black the best. But, let's see what comments. Oh, I'm glad some of the kids like to watch too. I mean, yeah, I've got my hands full with just 2. I mean, they also enjoy watching. Although Ryder, so the 2-year-old, sometimes we'll see yarn and he goes, "Mommy, yarn!" And then he goes, other times he's like, "No, Mommy, no more yarn." So he's going to be featured in a video coming up. He had a sick day, so he dyed some yarn with me. And, I mean, it'll probably be a while before he does another video with me. Because unlike Big Brother, I don't think it's quite his thing. But he did spend at least 10 minutes dyeing his yarn. And so that's a lot for a little kid. Okay, so I need to update my pot notes. Okay. So those are, I mean, I think that if you're struggling to get your Wilton colors to dissolve, try using warmer water, which of course I didn't do, but then it's a little easier to dissolve. But don't dip your plastic cups inside. Don't dip your plastic cups in a thingy. Where's my... Okay, so about 44 minutes. So now we've got big pot there, little pot with okay, this is 10 cups, but probably less because the volume is reduced. No more, yeah. No, Ryder is pretty adorable. Of course, he didn't say that on on the video, but he's a bit of a cutie. When you have an intervention from your toddler, yeah. Well, yeah, I think that he just doesn't want to like do it himself versus he doesn't really see me do much. Sometimes Lucas, when he gets up from nap or something, I'll be like, Mommy has to finish filming. Do you want to come and help? He's like, okay, but if you want to help, you need to be really quiet. And so sometimes when I'm watching Aaron, you might see like a little hand sneak in. Because Lucas just can't help himself and he wants to be involved. So, I mean, I'm happy that he is enjoying this and likes to do this with me. So, that's fun. But again, also he's 4, and so he's not a teenager. And so I know that this won't happen forever, but I don't know what I'll do if he says he wants his own YouTube channel for something. I guess it would be hard for me to say no, but I mean, I obviously have to set limits and whatnot. But the kid has a personality for doing this. You can see he's a bit of a, on some of his videos, he's a bit of a natural. He knows the routine. Oh, man. All right, so do I have any requests for another one of these new Wilton colors? Oh, dear. So I've got another skein of Wool of the Andes soaking that is not yet spoken for. I haven't planned yet. Otherwise, I might change. So to recap, the colors that I have are the sky blue, which is just blue number 1, so would definitely not have any breaking. Buttercup yellow, cornflower blue, leaf green, moss green, and creamy peach. So if there's one of those that you would really like to see, then that's something that we can set up in one of the other pots. So the light blue, the sky blue, or cornflower blue, okay. Let's see. Green, what's the grayer blue? Okay, so the grayer blue is cornflower blue. And this one I know will break. It's blue number 1, red 3, and yellow number 5 in the cornflower blue. The moss, okay, you guys, there's not a consensus here. Okay, either cornflower blue or leaf green. All right. Peach, I'm not feeling a consensus. Creamy peach. I know, and all these colors. Okay, so let's see. I see cornflower blue 3 times. I see green 4, 5. Okay, so maybe I need to do leaf green. Any of the blues, please. Moss, all 3. I mean, I might be able to do multiple. One time I said it's not quite 10. I promise I will get to all of them eventually. The plan with all of these is to eventually do a dip dye of the 100% wool of the Andes yarn in the colors. I'm starting to, so I had a big order at one point and I had like 40 skeins of some of these colors. I'm on my last full bag of the Wool of the Andes and Stroll. So that means I'm down to, I mean, I guess not counting the ones pre-soaking, I'm down to 10 of each or under. So I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to place an order, but Stroll's out of stock. It's very scary. I mean, I haven't checked to see if it's come back in stock yet, but all right, it does look like we are very close to getting one of our violets. You bought cornflower blue and would love to see it. Oh, guys, this is hard. Okay, so we might be able to do, because I've got 2 violets planning. We'll do one of these colors. Sometimes there's a really strong consensus when I ask for color suggestions. Never should ask 50 people to agree. Hey, sometimes like when I talk about to unravel, like, there's a clear group consensus. But The good thing about this is that you guys want to see all of them at some point, which is good, you know? So that means we'll have to do it. Bye, have a great day. Peach, yeah. You know, because these are all, like, when I see them, a lot of times you guys will give color requests, and so then when I find them, I try to buy them. Because, you know, Michaels carries a lot of these colors, but when I did my online order, they didn't have any of the colors I was looking for in stock. But then the problem is, sometimes I forget that I've already bought a color, so I think I have 2 cornflower blues around. I need to just carry a picture of all my Wilton's colors on my phone, so then when I'm at a store, I know, do I have this color? Am I interested in this color? Kind of stuff. All right, too many choices. Okay, we are going to get ready to dip dye our silk blend. I'm going to reduce the heat on that one, and Stroll is out of stock. I know, I guess I must be doing too much of a good job promoting their yarns. No, I think Stroll is their most popular yarn for dyeing, I would imagine, because it goes, even before like I started buying it in bulk, it went out of stock all the time. We do a blind grab. Oh, for the colors? Okay, maybe we'll do that in after I've done some of these violets. I like the idea of a blind grab. I'll put them in a bowl upside down and sort of pick one out. Okay. Gloves, because I don't feel like being caught red-handed, even though, I mean, all my people know exactly what I'm doing here today. Oh gosh, with the recent tie-dyeing video, I was just starting to unwrap it, and the kids went to Costco with Keith, and I was like, perfect, you know, this gives me some time, great. And then they come home, it's probably a 15-minute drive there, and he was home in 45 minutes. I was like, how did you do this so fast with 2 kids? And right when I'm filming the reveal. So that was amusing. But then they went for a walk, so that way I could finish up. So I edited it out, but otherwise there was a, hi, Mommy, no. All right. So the Knit Picks Gloss, Fair Gloss yarn, which is, and do I have the label here to know the percentages? It is, I think it's 30% silk. Yeah, it's 30% silk, 70% merino. And I do know from a video that I have not yet released that you can break violet on silk. I have a silk scarf that I dyed, and so I haven't even started editing that video, but that'll be a bonus, like a Friday video at some point. But the silk absorbs color slower than the wool. So I am very, very curious how this will go. Oh goodness. Did I add any vinegar to these pots yet? I don't think so. I don't think I added any vinegar yet. This would be a good thing for me to keep track of. I'm going to move you over there so I don't knock you off onto my floor. Then you might hear me cry. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vinegar. This is to 8 cups of water. Gosh, you can see how the level really goes down. Like this started off as 10 cups, but it's probably down to 8 now. Yeah, not yet. Oh, you don't think I'm listening? Well, I can't see the comments unless, when I'm up at the stove, I can't see the comments. Thank you guys. Yeah, I didn't think I had, but I'm glad to have had confirmation. Yeah, I will definitely do a blind grab of those Wilton colors once I'm ready for that. And whew, all right, I've got my merino silk, and the reason that I need to go fast with the violet is that the reds will start crashing out, and so that is why I took a deep breath. But this is, I think, my first time doing a silk blend. You can see. So what's possible is that the blues might need more acid because of the silk to bind. Although maybe not. Yeah, so I'm getting to the point where now I just see the blue. So I like to add, when I start getting those bright blues, and this seems very full. When I start seeing the bright blues, I like to add the rest of the yarn. But what is a little curious right now is you can see that that's a pretty fair amount of color in there. I mean, I think that the blues just have not really struck yet. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes to sort of see what is going on. But I think most of the reds have bound in a pretty like fast manner. But we'll see if those blues start to exhaust or if I need to add more color. And then with this residual dye in our cup, sort of going to mix it out. Yeah, that was the half teaspoon. Mix it out into this collection. So now we've got this kind of army green color in here. Just going to save a bunch of this residual stuff, and maybe we'll do something at the end with that. All right. So, all right, let's get ready to do our blind grab of a color. Because we're still waiting on those other ones to soak. Okay. Bringing Violet is your favorite experiment to recreate? Yeah, I'm sure that I will need to add more vinegar on the right, but I did this proportion, and and again, it's probably the silk. Silk is also slow. It really slows it down. Because I did just the other night 8 cups of water with 1 tablespoon of vinegar on Stroll, and bam! Oh, the other thing? This is a super wash. So it's going to be slower all around. But I want to give it some time before I add more vinegar because it should absorb. Like the yellow, oh no, that was 2 tablespoons. But yes, I'm pretty sure I need to add more vinegar to this pot that's right there. I just, sometimes you really don't. You just need a little bit of time to let it absorb. All right, let's get ready to do a blind grab. Okay, I'm going to, so they're upside down. Ooh, or should I get a bowl so then I really can't see? I mean, you guys trust me, right? I don't know what is where, but you guys can kind of see it. All right. Except let's hold this up so I can see. Okay. So I've got the Wilton's colors on top of my head. Nope, not on top of my head. Okay. Okay, it's on top of my head. I cannot, and I'm trying to close my eyes, so I don't know which one's where. Okay, are we ready? Let's do this one. Ah! Okay, creamy peach. Good thing these are all sealed, so I'm not going to get food coloring all over my shirt. But creamy peach is the winner. And actually, I guess it's a nice one to do because we can compare the results to the ivory. So, I do think, feel like I need more water in the back. I don't want to, yeah. Okay, oh, but I started, okay, that pot, oh, see, this is why I have a thing. This has 1 tablespoon, oops, 1 tablespoon, let's write my note, and that was 1/2. Okay, So that was the 8 cups with 1 tablespoon. Let's go ahead and, okay, I'm going to go ahead and add more volume there. Yeah, that was really fun. It's like sometimes when you, but right now I'm like, ooh, watch me think. Okay, actually, I think that I'm going to send you guys to a brief commercial break while I think for a minute to decide how I want to do with the volume of the pot and back. But I will be right back. Not everyone will necessarily see an ad. I think that I pressed the button. So not everyone will see an ad, but I have no control over who gets that and whatnot. Of course, it's not telling me when it's done, so because it said my video settings are bad. All right, but let's come and check. Yeah, that's still a lot of blue there. Okay, I'll wait like 1 more minute since I sent some of you guys to ads before I really deal with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in my Pyrex pot, I'm adding 8 cups of water, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to this Pyrex measuring cup. So then this is going to be the same proportion of acid that I started with in that pot. And then I am going to add some more water there to just bring up the volume. I really didn't want to toss the bath that we used before, but I wanted to keep the overall portions the same. Yeah. So I added about 3 cups of water. So I just added about 3 cups of water with some vinegar to it, but this is still the equivalent concentration of 8 cups of water plus 1 tablespoon of vinegar back there. And now when it comes to our silk friend, I'm going to lower the heat some more, but that is a lot of blue that is still there. So I am going to go ahead and add more vinegar to the pot. So we've now got 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in here. And I'm going to give this another 5 minutes and see where it goes. But you can tell that we've definitely got these intense blues. So when it comes to breaking, even if you need to add more vinegar later on, it can be a way to exaggerate the break that you see. Hello. Yeah, so I'll show and do like a mini recap at soon of the other yarns that I've dyed. But so far I've dyed 3 skeins. There's a broken violet, 30% silk, 70% merino wool blend right here. And I just added, after 6 ml plus 1 vinegar. Okay, and back here, added volume. And there we said we're going to do creamy peach. Okay. Ah! Keeping all my notes. Yeah, so here I'll do a brief recap of the yarns that we've done so far. So the first yarn that we did, we dip dyed some Stroll fingering weight yarn in some McCormick's yellow with using vinegar instead of exhausted Kool-Aid that I had done the other day, which that video I haven't shown yet, but I've shown pictures of the yarn. And then this one is Wilton's Ivory. This was a ½ teaspoon of Wilton's Ivory yarn. And so these were the yarns that I did at the start today. And we also did a blind grab. Let's see how we're, still a lot of blue. I might need to go even more. Ooh, those colors are really, really great. But I also found, and I'm surprised because with the high wool percentage, when I was doing the silk, scarves, it took a long time. It was 4 grams, and I didn't have that much food coloring. It did break on the silk, but it took, here we go, boom, 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 done. It was a lot longer to dip dye the silk. So it's not necessarily just the acid, but there is it just takes longer with silk. Oh, no worries, Marie. Yeah, I've done 3. But so in the far pot, once we get up to heat, we're going to do some creamy peach because since everyone wanted different colors, I blind picked a color that we were going to do back there. But, okay, it's been long. I'm now going to bring up the heat on this front pot because one of the other things we are going to do next is we are going to dip dye 2 skeins of Stroll, normal Stroll and Stroll Glimmer, in some Wilton's Violet. Because I realized I haven't dip dyed the Glimmer before. I haven't, it's just not something that I've done. I've hand painted it in a couple different ways and steamed it, but I want to see if my usual concentration of a half teaspoon of violet per 100 grams of yarn is still good when it comes to a Selena based yarn. And so I have those pre-soaked, and then I've got the Wool of the Andes ready to go when we start the creamy peach. And then depending on how these dye baths are clearing, I still have, maybe after I've got that in the pot, we can talk and see if we want to pre-soak any of my other yarns that I pulled down for today. But yeah, I just was really just kind of itching to just kind of go for it and do a bunch of dyeing. So, oh, you know what I should add to my notebook? Oh, and I'm keeping notes because I'm using a bunch of different yarn bases. So the first one I did, the second one I did, it's going to be number 4 and 5, Stroll. And I'm also going to start in this big pot. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vinegar. And I mixed the 1 teaspoon violet in 1/2 cup of water. But, I feel like the volume has probably decreased over time, so I don't know if it's still 10 cups or if it's more like 8 cups. But yeah, we're gonna see, and it'll be kind of nice as a side-by-side comparison with the silk. Is that another 5 minutes that I had just done? I think so. Oh. Let's see. There's still a lot of blue, but we are clearing a little bit. Whew, that's just bright and cheerful and pretty. Sort of stirring it. Oh yeah, we're slowly starting to clear. Set a timer for another 10 minutes. I'm not sure how long I had waited before, but yeah, I mean this water level is a little low. But I've had it on heat for a while. All right, I am now squeezing out some of the excess water from my 2 skeins. And I think I have a video out where I was dip dyeing yarn 2 skeins at a time for Broken Violet. And so I'm also kind of trying to see if starting with this less vinegar helps me exaggerate the breaking. But the one downside to this is that if I do with these strolls as well, if I end up needing to add more vinegar in the end, then that the downside of that is that then if I want to start with less vinegar and increase it, is that I will need to The downside is that the recycling, the dye bath becomes less. And so when I was doing the dip dyeing Broken Violet for the Kickstarter campaign, I was using the same dye bath over and over and over. Ooh, I'm happy to be breakfast entertainment. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my measuring spoon. And I am gonna add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to our pot. And now I'm gonna add, okay, so in here we had mixed 1 teaspoon, and notice I'm not wearing gloves, oh well. I've got 1 teaspoon of Wilton's Violet and half a cup of water. So I'm gonna add this to our dye bath, which the water level might be a tad bit low here, but we will hopefully not have too much trouble dip dyeing our yarns. Ho-ho. Might be having a, probably could have used some more water. Whoops. Whoa. You can see that this is not my cleanest gradient. But in comparison, you can see how extreme this breaking is here today, though. So using less acid, really, if you want to get those intense blues, you want to use less acid. I should have had more water in here, though. That is a regret, because my gradient is not going to be as clean as I normally like to see. And I'm reducing the heat here now. Normally when I do this, I like to get, more of a gradient, but I was struggling to get the yarns in the pot. But there's no question that we broke Violet here and have some super, super intense colors. And I mean, check that out. Okay, as a comparison of this pot to the pot that has the silk blend, in both of these pots, I started with 1 tablespoon of vinegar. And I guess if the water was really reduced and I had less than 8 cups, then the vinegar concentration would be higher, I suppose. But, there's right away, there is less, like very little color left in here. And there's about 6 minutes on the timer. And okay, now we're at about that same level here with our silk, but it has been, we've added another tablespoon of vinegar, and it's been a lot longer time-wise. So that's just kind of a different, a reminder that different dyes really do work differently. Or different yarns will take up the exact same dye in very similar conditions very differently. You have a wheel and you're knitting. Oh, you guys are having a lot of fun. The older kid things are grown and just want I'm knitting a cowl, procrastinating doing house chores. Yeah, I could be doing house chores. Keith's birthday's tomorrow. And so, I mean, I've got his presents and stuff. We've been celebrating all weekend. It's also my dad's birthday, so it's going to be a big, combo thing tomorrow. So I don't really have to do much for that. But I'm making the lasagna tonight. And, I have to make the cheesecake. Actually, I'm going to take some of those ingredients. Forget what I need exactly, but we may as well take the cream cheese out of the refrigerator so it can get soft. While I am thinking about it, may as well get ready to go. But yeah, I want Lucas to help because I have to crush Oreos for the crust. So Lucas may as well get to help with that. All right. But yeah, that's what I'm procrastinating from. But since it's vacation week, tomorrow I'm going to go spend the day in the city with my mom. And then the kids are going to be home instead of at school on Wednesday, Thursday. Well, they're always home on Thursdays, but on Wednesday and Friday. So this is going to be my like time for dyeing this week, and then I'm going to have to do a bunch of editing. But I'll probably have a live stream later this week where I unravel some blanks because I need to have the blanks unraveled to finish those videos for the sock blank special. Oh, you're knitting a sock blank by hand. That's commitment. Oh no, your knitting machine died. So I did, and I'm not using these in the sock blank special, but something fun that I did was I did a crochet chain with 2 strands of yarn held together, and then I doubled that, and I did another crochet chain, and then I doubled that, and I did another crochet chain. So I've got some cool other kinds of, I guess, a crochet chain blank coming up at some point, but I don't think I'll do that this week. I think that'll be a Dye Pot Weekly episode at some point. Okay, so for the wool silk blend that's non-superwash, I have 2 tablespoons of vinegar now in the about 8 cups of water. Which is looking a lot bluer. I guess the colors are a bit off. Okay, so for the big pot where I have the 200 grams of yarn, there I started off with 10 cups of water this morning, but I think the water level has decreased over time. And I added just 1 tablespoon of vinegar there. So my guess, but I wish that I had started with the full 10 cups. So the pot was fuller. I mean, maybe there were only 6 cups of water in there because there wasn't a lot of water to help like take the yarn. So that was hard. Oh yeah, the Wilton's Violet is amazing. But if you don't, and I know not all of you live in the US, so the ingredients on my Wilton's Violet are red number 3 and blue number 1. And I know that sometimes the colors that you find in Europe have different, especially the blacks and stuff, have different, I think red number 40 isn't allowed in Europe. And over there, you guys sometimes have a red 10, which isn't one that's approved here. So there might be different ingredients, which means that you could end up with different results, which could still be really cool. They'd just be different. So yeah, the loops and threads machine was really nice. Too bad I can't break violet in my cheesecake. Yeah, I mean, funny that I don't. I mean, I guess I use food coloring and icing sometimes still, but yeah, I'm gonna do. Well, I mean, it's an Oreo cheesecake, so probably. I don't know if colors break in icing, but I guess you stir it enough that it doesn't really. Yeah, the Wilton's Violet is my jam. I love it. So let's go. Oh, I guess I may as well wait for my timer to finish. But then I can set up for the creamy peach. And yeah, I'm having a blast, just like hanging out, dyeing some yarn. I'm starting to think about. So next week's going to be pretty intense, and then I think I'm going to start prepping for a de-stash sale because I'm getting bins full of the yarn that I'm dyeing. So, which means that if as I'm starting to set that up, I'll probably have like I mean, this is kind of a Wilton's Violet dye-a-thon, but I'll be like, all right, I'm going to go and let's see how many skeins I can do in one live stream. But, all right, and the timer's about to go. And so then let's check and see our colors. Okay. Okay, so there's still just a tiny bit of blue left in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat on our silk blend, but the water is basically clear from our double stroll pot. These colors are great. So again, the silk is slow, but we can let it cool in the pot. And so I wonder if, I mean, I measured, so it was 8 cups. I guess the levels just really go down when you're heating it for a while. Okay, so the front, I'm going to turn the heat off on both, and I'm going to flip and move that pot up. See, this is why I turn off my head at times, not necessarily for any big reason. See a spill from the other day, but not for necessarily any big reason, but mainly so you don't see my bum. as I run around. Okay, so I'm going to let both of these go ahead and cool in the pots a little bit. I mean, I guess I'll remove those sooner, but they don't really do much harm in there right now. The burner right here is bigger than the burner back there, so we want this to heat up so we can do our creamy peach. But I'm going to go and wash off my measuring spoon and our red cup and get set up for our creamy peach yarn. That is a non-superwash, but we can start mixing this because I know, oh yeah, we're seeing some movement. We're seeing some movement in the pot. And so this pot already has the equivalent to 8 cups of water plus 1 tablespoon of vinegar. And so let's see. Oh, I see some comments. Yeah, the double pot, the colors are really, really pretty. I know, I wish, this is the big problem with increasing the rate of dyeing yarn is that I've had a little less time to knit with it. But I also just in general have less knitting time because the boys are so active that it would be a little bit dangerous. It would be dangerous to my knitting projects, not to the kids. So let's open up this peach. Ooh, that's pretty. Stick the knife in our collection water over there. And we are going to add a half teaspoon ish. There we go. Oh, that's actually, oh no, overboard. Okay, to half a cup of water. And I'm going to go rinse off this bottle because I made a bit of a mess. Oh, can I get some of that in my mix collection? All right, rinsing that off. Unfortunately, because it's birthday week, it's my time. Well, I always do the cabinets dishes, but otherwise, normally Keith is the dishes guy in our house. Funny, this one is so it's a red cup, so I can't really see much about the color yet, but it is. It's funny. The water looks like it's really clear. I don't think it is clear. Like, okay, yeah, you can see the drips that it's like, a peachy orange. But it's funny because it's not registering as anything. Probably because the spoon is red and the pot is red. So that's really, really funny. Let's bring this up to our boil. And I know, I can't wait to see that dried either. Where is... Aha. And so again, the heat is off on this now. We just have a little bit of residual blue. It's so pretty. I'm curious how it's going to compare to the other yarns. And I hope that I will be able to tell. Well, I think that these ones have more white in them than that. The color is gorgeous. All right, so we're about ready to go. Oh, and I do have a bowl right here. Perfect. Let's see. So the reason why I pre-soak the yarn is because it means that it goes into the pot easier. It's not something that is a requirement. It's just dry yarn sometimes will float versus sort of sink in to the pot easily. So you can definitely dip dye dry yarns to try to get some more mottled colors. Let's see. You do wonder how the silk one will look dry, because silk can soak up a lot of dye, and it usually needs quite more than wool for the same saturation. Yeah, I mean, when I dyed the silk hankies for spinning, I was kind of surprised with how pale the colors ended up. But the silk hanky that I did actually looked, or not hanky, the silk scarf is really pretty. the peach and ivory will probably look the same while wet. I'm expecting the peach to be a bit darker, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. Because since, you know, it could be really intended to be a paler color. Excuse me. Because if you were to start with pink food coloring, then the color could be rather intense. So maybe it will be pretty pale, but we're about ready to go. Let's add, yeah, I mean, this color is, you know, so there's still some particulates in there, which is why I'm still stirring, because I'd like those to dissolve. Okay. We don't want our friends to start crashing out. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely, you saw how dark the pots got, and ooh, that's pink. You saw how dark the pots got when we did the violet. So this is definitely, you know, less saturated. It's really a really pretty color. Whoa, you guys! We broke it. We go from a pink to an orange. That is awesome. That is beautiful. Oh! I mean, I think it's all about the proportion of colors that you have. If you have like so much red in it that then you know, if you have the wrong mixture of the proportion of the dyes, then it's harder to see the breaking. Like the teal will break from like a blue-green into a blue. But if you had too much yellow, so if you had more of like a grass yellow, the grass green might not see an intense blue at the end because there's a lot more yellow than blue in there. But creamy peach, I mean, this is a peach colored yarn. This is spectacular. And I wonder if the 1 tablespoon in 8 cups of water type concentration here helped us with this cool, amazing gradient. Oh, okay, I need to like take off my gloves and come down so you guys can like see my face because I am really, really excited here. I mean, this is great. This is amazing. Like full on like peach, because you know you've got those like range of colors. It's great. Wow. And I think even like pumping up the volume. So overall, like, oh, I meant to set timer for 5 minutes. Overall, the tones, and I'm going to reduce the heat a bit so we don't really bubble. I'm not sure how bright it's going to be overall. It could end up still being sort of like a medium tone versus like a very intense saturated color like some of the violets and the yellow. So this might be a color that you want to increase your concentration of food coloring for, but it's great. Yeah, I mean, this is like, you know, the reds and stuff aren't necessarily the favorite colors that I go to, but they're so pretty when you dye it. It's a great, like, if you go more intense, then you'll go from probably peach to sunset, something that feels very sunset. So I think that it's, oof, I cannot wait to have these dry and to film the recap of this live stream. Okay, so that was, so this was the 6th one that we dyed. And same concentration. I mean, these notes wouldn't really help much of anyone else. So then now we are at 1 hour, 29 minutes, and we've got our silk, our peach, and our violet. Too. Kind of keeping track of what everything's moved. So color work in your future, me thinks, yeah, You'd like to see a paler version. I know it's random, but you get excited with the breaking that your 2-year-old charges in the room, giggling and shouting broken wool. Oh, that is awesome! I love it. That's amazing. That is so cute. Yeah, I mean, I think that like a lot of these. Oh, so on. Now I'm looking, and actually, you know what? Today the colors that are coming out on the stream are actually matching really nicely with what I see, for whatever reason. But the color. Now I want to go come up and look a bit in person. I think the colors look. Oh no, that actually is really intense. Whew. Let's see how we're. Still got some yellow in there, but man, that is awesome. So, all right, we've got, and if you're just tuning in, so we've done 6 skeins of yarn this morning. We started off with sort of this yellow. It was McCormick's yellow that we dip dyed. And then we did Wilton's ivory, which gives us some really nice tones. And then we've done a wool silk blend in like moving bowls of yarn around my kitchen. We did a wool silk blend right here in Wilton's Violet. And this is taking more, okay, our water, it's slow, but we're slowly absorbing these colors here. Whereas the stroll fingering in Wilton's Violet, that went a lot faster. I'm actually going to take those out. And goodness, I'm a little nervous about a yarn barf situation over here. Okay, but let's just go for it. Kind of go for it with like, ooh, both at the same time. So the Stellina still looks really sparkly. I'm gonna have to wait till it cools to try to find the, oh, funny. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but it looks like that the Stellina down here in the violet section changed pink. It looks like it took on some color. And so, I don't know, I think that that's pretty cool actually. But hopefully we don't have a yarn barf situation. I think on camera the pinks aren't really showing up, but this was a good, I'm liking starting off with 1 tablespoon of vinegar for breaking violet. I just wish, 1 tablespoon in about 8 to 10 cups of water. I just wish that I'd kind of started with a greater volume back there. So I'm putting the heat on low in the back, and I am going to increase the volume, which this is again, so that was our 5 minutes. What I had in here was 8 cups of water with 1 tablespoon of vinegar. So that way I could add it to various things and be kind of consistent. Yeah, I mean, there's some yellow in there, but let's just quickly, yeah, there's definitely some residual yellow. And what's funny, oh no, there's the pink. This is gorgeous. Okay, I'm just going to turn off this heat in the front and just let this sit in here for a little while longer, just to allow more yellows to absorb. Because sometimes, you know, you can keep the heat on, but like here, you know, we're close to having all the blues kind of be gone as we're waiting on our silk. Yeah, those blues, man. So sometimes some people see breaking and they're like, oh, I didn't really get the blue, I got more of a gradient of purple. Try reducing your amount of acid. And different fibers, like we said today, different fibers will absorb the colors differently. And so you might need to increase your acid for silk. These are all things, you know, that we're playing with. This is why I really wanted to try the silk blend on violet, which is dip dyeing something I know pretty well, so that way it could kind of help give me a feel for these silk blends. And all right, so I don't have any other yarn pre-soaking, but I do have an empty pot. I think the peach is blowing out the camera a bit because you don't see any of the pink. Yeah, I mean, I think that it, So it's definitely, it's funny. The pink is reading a little, and when I first dipped it in, it was very pink. It's now much more of an orange, but I think it's like at this very end is where you really see the pink. And it's because like the red number 3 bound really fast. And so in this one, I've done some breaking orange things, and it's been like a little bit like, oh, is it broken or just a gradient? But from one dipping this, there was a real moment, and there is no red at the end. And this is a very pink orange. I mean, peach is the perfect name for this color here right now. Okay, but so I've got more colors. I've got some more yarn. Now, I guess, any requests for something to try? I've got a lot of other stuff upstairs as well, but I don't have anything pre-soaking at the moment. What did I see? You've dyed Selena, and the Selena does end up darker. You dyed it with brown, and it turned gold. Yeah, so on Will to Dye For's website, because they have a bunch of glimmer yarns, they're like, oh, if you use too much dye, it can change color, so kind of like a be careful. But I kind of dig it, so I think it still looks shiny, so that's good. Oh, you need to go sleep? Good night! Yeah, it'll be nice to see when it dries. You glad you joined? Yes, so the replay of all this will be up, after it's done, and I still have some time to do more. You'd like to see the teal broken? I don't know. I could do some teal on some scroll. Let's start pre-soaking this guy. Yeah, I think that the vinegar concentrations that I have set up would lend themselves really nicely to the teal. I haven't done, the reason why I'm picking Strolla, so I've done it on the wool, but on the superwash yarn, it can be a little harder to see some of the colors break because the dyes tend to stick so quickly, but we'll see if we can break teal on the Stroll. I'd like to do that. That's a good suggestion. And I can't decide if I want to save this one for a Dye Pot Weekly episode, and the thing is, like, Broken Violet is just my favorite, so I always want to Broken Violet everything. I have a deep gray for the Soft Blank Special, and I can't decide what color I want to do with it yet. But I do think that I'll have to say, when I say, like, which color do you want to see, I can't let it, next time I'll say, like, it's not a vote, but I'll see, like, what people are calling for and then decide. Although I did enjoy the blind grab. I'm very, very happy with that color over there. But yeah, I think I'll dip dye some Stroll and teal, and then, okay, I kind of want to dye, so I made a sock plank with the Imagination yarn, which is something that is more labor intensive, but I don't know, I don't think I've dyed alpaca before. So, and of course, it being me, I'm like, ooh, should I do violet to get on this? But I'm willing to take some requests, or take some suggestions. But I think I am going to start pre-soaking this Imagination yarn, which is the 50% merino, 25% alpaca, 25% nylon. And so you can see there's an experiment I want to do coming up where someone sent me this. They dip dyed 2 skeins of yarn at a time. One was superwash merino, and one was a silk alpaca wool blend. And the yarns, I believe the person who told me this, but if they did not tell me that they dip dyed them in the same pot at the same time, I would not believe it, because the colors came out completely different. So I want to play with that. And ooh, one of you is sending me, in the Chemnitz Lab group on Facebook, someone shared, they had I think it was a worsted weight yarn that was 1-ply superwash, 2-ply not superwash. So then when you dyed it, you got this cool barber pole effect. And and so I bought 3 skeins of that from her. I'm so excited because I think it's going to look white. And I think one of them wants to become a blank of some kind. One of them, I got to dip dye in violet because I got to see. And yeah, I'm just really excited to play around with it. You guys want to do some moss green? oh, maybe cornflower blue or moss green on the gray. Well, I'm not, the gray I haven't soaked now, but the cornflower blue on the gray would be really fun. I mean, I think, so it's a dark gray. So whatever color I do, if I use enough food coloring, it should show up. Oh, for the gray soft blank. Yeah, that one's hard. I think I need to have, I mean, the cornflower, the Delphinium blue on the gray could be cool too. I think I want something with red to try to warm up the tone a bit. So yeah, I'm curious, or maybe two colors. Yeah, I might hand paint the gray blank. But this one, I mean, this one is already a tonal yarn, so I think dip dyeing, like, excuse me, on the tonal could be pretty fun. And yeah, but as for right now, I still, the temptation. I mean, I think I'll probably use the pointed stuff. I'll probably use that dyed act, which has 2 tablespoons of vinegar and, excuse me, 8 cups of water with however I dye the alpaca. Right, because I think I'm gonna. Oh, I was gonna do the stroll and teal in the big pot. Okay. I was like, what did I decide to do? I can't remember. Okay, so let me move pots around. So right now it is 1 hour, 40 minutes. Okay, so we've got here the silk, and here the peach. And I'm about to move this, and this was the equivalent, the concentration is 8 cups. Water, plus 1 tea. Vinegar, plus 1 half. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to now swap these pots. Rainbow the gray. I mean, I do enjoy a really good rainbow. Actually, for that tonal yarn, hand painting on a rainbow would actually be really, really nice. Okay. How hot are you? Oh, you guys can't see me spinning around. Okay, but I can turn the heat off and back, turn this heat back on in front, so we can dip dye our teal. I mean, we still need the yarns to pre-soak a bit, but actually I'm going to add some water there from one of my other pre-soaks. Cool. And let's check on, oh yeah, okay, that's pretty darn close to clear. Oh, that is a plastic basin, not a bowl. I'm gonna be using up all of these bowls today. And again, I don't want yarn bar, so I'm just gonna kind of go for it. So what you can notice is I don't see any red that has crashed out around the edges. And the water is very clear with a hint of some blue. But check out these colors. I don't know if the pinks are really reading through, but this is stunning. This is absolutely stunning. And, ooh, it's smelling a little like, oh geez. Why is that not? Okay, I'm going to need to troubleshoot my burner in a second, but you know, the colors overall are very, very similar between the silk and the scrolls. But when it takes slower to absorb, why? What is going on with my burner? Like, I'm lighting, not lighting the whole thing. All right, then I'm gonna, bummer. Okay, I'm gonna just give that a minute. And actually, while I deal with this, I think I'm going to send you guys to a quick commercial break, but I will be back, and then we will do our teal dip dyeing in a moment. Okay. Sure. All right, we're good. We're good. Welcome back, those of you that saw an ad. I've now successfully, we're heating up over here. So we're going to get ready, and I mean, we've got some time because we still need the stroll to pre-soak a bit. But so the yarn, so on camera the reds aren't reading through. So the Broken Violet yarns are looking a lot more like blue purple all the way through, but there is some very magenta color. And so when I have, which actually on this camera nope, it's still very reading on here. You're not really getting the purples. I was like, oh, maybe the colors are better on like the laptop camera today, and nope. The color balance is not quite right. Yeah, the top looked fine. I just lit the other side with I can turn that down from Powerboil. I lit the other side with like a what? Sorry, Mom. I'm in a live stream. I'm gonna text her. I was like, oh, is it Keith or something? Sorry, Mama. I'm live streaming. Sorry, I'm amused by like pausing to say that. But we're waiting anyway, so your little cat was slightly, yeah, I'll look at that later. Wait, you did Walsh Mountain in bark pink, blue, and green? I don't really know what Walsh Mountain is though. Yeah, the top bit probably. Yeah, I'll check that later. But oh goody. Oh, I guess I don't know how long I've pre-soaked this, but I mean the important thing, and like sometimes I've done like versus pre-soaking. There was once I did something where I pre-wet the yarn, so I just put it under the tap so the yarn was wet a little bit, just so that way it would go in a bit better. But I'll stand up and mix the teal in a little bit. But whew, this is kind of nice. I'm not looking, even though food coloring when you're washing it that goes pretty quickly. I'm not necessarily looking forward to doing that with this many skeins of yarn, but I'm excited to have done a lot, and I'm excited that so many of you are watching right now. I really appreciate it. If you are new to the Cabinet Tutorials channel, I do a lot of yarn dyeing, mostly food coloring, but I've started exploring with some Jacquard acid dyes. But I really have the mentality of let's do this and let's see what happens, and we get some really awesome colors sometimes. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. And next week, I'm going to have live streams every day using different techniques on sock blanks. And there are, actually, maybe I should drop the link in to here. Trying not to do too much with the streaming computer, but I will post a link to the schedule. And probably starting tomorrow or so, I will start posting I'll start making the actual videos for the different live streams. So that way you'll see them in like coming soon. But the link that I just shared in the chat has the schedule for the Sock Blank Special, the Dye Along Week. And I know a lot of you have already started dyeing some yarn, and dyeing your own blanks and making your own blanks. And so we're just going to have a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to see more of what you dye. And so you can always, I'll probably have a post so you can share pictures on the ChemKnits Facebook page itself, but you can also come and join the ChemKnits Lab Facebook group. It's a group for ChemKnits fans, and people share their own dyeing projects and ask questions, and there's more people than just me who answer questions, and it's really, really awesome. And I've been learning a lot there too. So it's a fun place. And there are questions when you join the group that I recommend that you answer. The answer is like, it's not a quiz. The question of like where you heard about the group is mainly because I'm curious. But then the question about fiber arts interest is really to make sure you're not a bot. I get some people who, because it must show up shared, some people who look like they're like scientific supply companies trying to join the group. And so as long as some interest in fiber arts is indicated, either like when you answer the question, or if I can see like, oh, this person from your profile, this person does a lot of knitting or something, then, you know, then you're in. If it looks like a bot or, you know, then that's the only reason why I haven't added. You wish you could participate in the dialogue, but we're preparing to move. Yeah. Well, the nice thing is that, you know, if you can't participate now, like the videos will all be up there. And so it'll be some good inspiration for enabling for the future. So if you can't join me now, we'll do, you know, I think that this like special week, I had so much fun with the first sock blank special that like I was planning a second sock blank special, and then someone was like, ooh, you should do a dye-along. So I was like, oh, okay. And so, yeah, I'm just excited that people are excited to join me and do some dyeing at home. And, oh, I've been heating 2 pots right now. So this one I'm going to do the teal, and I haven't decided. So let's check in the notebook and see where we are. Okay, so this one is where I'm going to do the teal. And this is going to be yarn number 7. So it's going to be teal, and I'm going to do half a teaspoon and half a cup of water. And so in here, we've got the equivalent of 8 cups water plus 2. This is the cleared. So I'm not going to add any more vinegar to that, and I'm going to do the Imagination scroll yarn, and I have to decide what color we're going to do there. But we're at a big boil, so I'm going to reduce the heat. Yeah, I hope that your move goes well. Oh, thank you. I really like that you guys watch and comment, and it's awesome. Okay, but what color should I do with the alpaca? Should I do? I am tempted to just do violet. I love alpaca yarn, but it's my first. Oh, then I'd want to start. Yeah, it's 2 tablespoons of vinegar. You know what? I'm just going to go for it. I haven't decided. Quick recap of what you're doing. Oh, of course. Yes, my small pot. Oh, yeah, I just reduced the heat on the small pot. So today I'm just doing a lot of different dip dyeing. We have done so far, so in the back pot over there was 100 grams of Wool of the Andes yarn, dip dyed into Creamy Peach, the icing color. I have also, now's a good time for a recap since we're waiting for like the yarn to soak more. I've done also in Stroll, this is some McCormick's Yellow that I dip dyed, and we did Wilton's Ivory. This was a half teaspoon of Wilton's Ivory in on 100 grams of yarn, and I forgot to not show my bum. Okay, and then we've also done some violet. So I dip dyed a wool silk blend for the first time today in Wilton's Violet, and it broke. We've got like the magenta, we've got the really, really rich blue over here. It took a lot longer for the dye to absorb to this yarn than it does to Stroll. And so over here, also in Violet, I've got some plain normal Stroll, which is
75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And then I've got that same yarn, but with 5% stellina. So it's only 70% the superwash merino. But you can see it's still super shiny, so that's good. But the stellina down here in the pink is actually pink. So I don't know if you can see that yet, but that's cool. And in the blue section, the stellina still reads as silver. So I'm not bummed at all that the stellina changed color. But so those are, and then this was the creamy peach back here. So those are the yarns that we've done so far. And I've been collecting also just the residual colors, and I might save that for another day. Okay, we're starting to boil there too. Let's start washing and rinsing. And woo! Oh, I should have rinsed out in there for the residual peach. Bummer. Poor Mama. Okay. The red cup, hard to tell. Rinse it out. Add half a cup of water. Right here. And oh, I guess I should do the teal first. Yeah, let's do the teal first. Let's dry this off. Oh, my teal's all the way over there. I was looking and I was like, where'd the teal go? So when I broke the teal, I used, so there's more vinegar, but I also did it on 100% wool versus the Stroll, which absorbs color faster. So, oh, I'm almost out of teal. So this is a half teaspoon of Wilton's teal and half a cup of water in the red cup. And this has blue number 1 and yellow number 5 in it. So that's what's present in the teal. And blue number 1 is the first ingredient. So there's a lot more blue than there is yellow. And maybe I need to start paying more attention to the order that the ingredients exist on the label. Because that can make a difference in the amount of breaking that we observe. Wait. Oh yeah, no worries. I'm happy to give. No, not in Bath at this. Oh. Yeah, you're not in the bath at the same time as the yarn that you're washing. I'm trying to get better at like semi-reading the comments that I do out loud. Oh, wait. Did I use, oh, no, I did use Peppa Pig. I was like, why do I have this Bell cup? And I'm like, oh, that's probably the cup that Ryder was using this morning. Ryder likes to have he calls it a buck. He likes to have a buck for the rest of his breakfast. And so he puts like his dry cereal in the buck. Oh, that was a bit of violet left over. I'm like collecting these residual colors, and I don't know if I'll use that today or if I'll grab some more wool, but oh, drat. I just dyed myself. Not a big problem. Just a drat situation. You see that I've gotten lazy with wearing my gloves, but ultimately, this is not a big deal. It looks like I have a weird shaped bruise on my finger. Hopefully, let's see, do I have another half teaspoon spoon? That's a quarter. Haha, I do. Hopefully there's enough violet in here for me to get another half teaspoon out. And of course, it's not going to fit. Bummer. All right. Let's do. I'm going to get all the spoons in on this action. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to get another container. So we've got a 1/4 teaspoon, and there's not quite another 1/4 teaspoon in here. Got this collection that I've been saving of mostly empty Wilton's Violet containers. But don't despair, I have more. Well, maybe. Oh goodness. I've got a lot of black left, but I guess after this one, I might have only one more, unless I have some hidden upstairs, one more unopened Wilton's Violet. So that's got to be something to keep in mind. I might need to remember to pick some up next time I have a coupon. Before the Die Pot Weekly Kickstarter campaign, I picked up a bunch because I was worried about a shortage and not being able to find it. There we go. Clearly, I do a lot of violet. Okay, that's another 1/4 teaspoon. And this one, oh no, here's the 1/2 teaspoon that barely got any color on it. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit for a bit as we get ready. And I'm about ready to get started up here with our teal. But I'll come down again for a second and wahaha. So we're about to do some stroll fingering and some teal, and we're going to do that in the big pot. And so that has that dye bath is cleared, but it has the equivalent concentration of like 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 8 cups of water. Maybe you should throw your empty containers in a large jar of water to get the dye. Well, the containers, so what I've been doing is sort of like pouring back and forth with my extra dye, but I forgot to do that with the peach. I just went and dumped it because the cup was red, so I couldn't really tell. But so I've been sort of collecting the residual bits. Yeah. You must have gotten some time to this floor. You have a stain on your toe. My feet are good so far, so that's good. And then in the smaller pot where we're going to do the violet, that had 8 cups of water and 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So first let's do the teal. And so I need another bowl. If my sink were clear in here, then I could start washing some of these yarns, but I frequently wash in the bathroom where I have a little more space to like get the tripod in my sink. Not that the lighting is good at all, but just a little handy. Okay. So I don't know if we'll see the same level of breaking that we got when we did this the first time with the violet. Now, this water is looking a little pink. It's like a tinge of pink. Probably because from some of the violet that crashed out, it might be around the edge. But I'm still going to go for it. Not have a paper towel on the stove, though, Rebecca. So here, this is our teal. Yes, okay. I mean, it's so dark, especially compared with like the ivory and the peach, that like I had a moment of self-doubt here. Okay, let's add this beautiful, beautiful teal. And so you can see like how dark this is, which means how much food coloring there is in here compared to especially both the peach and the ivory. But so we're now gonna dip, and hopefully what we'll see is that the yellows will bind first, and then maybe we'll see some blue at the end. Yeah, we can already sort of see it a little bit, but I'm just checking the color. You can see, look how blue that is. That already we're seeing a lot less of the yellow, but it's still looking a little, oh, it's looking blue. I'm like hesitant to go all the way in too soon, but I think now I gotta commit and go for it. So it's not, as far as, oh, Indy, it's probably just the mailman. So you can see I'm wiggling it around to try to get the color. There's still a lot of blue in here. But do you see the tonal shift? I guess the yellows aren't showing up as well on camera. Oh yeah, no, I keep the little icing pots. Yeah, just today I'm measuring, so that's why I'm not doing that right now. But the pots that are almost empty of food coloring, I have a little jar where I have them, and I'm just sort of saving them for a random kind of project. Okay, I'm going to reduce the heat here, and I am going to increase the heat over there to get ready. But yeah, so the blues are starting to clear out, but we definitely have some teal going to like a blue. And so again, it's based on I think the proportion of the two colors really matter if you're going to see any breaking. Because if you have, if you have way too much yellow, even though yellow binds faster, if there's a lot of yellow in the pot, it's going to take longer for it to all exhaust than the blue, if there's only a tiny bit of blue. Right, so I could rinse and shake, and then there wouldn't be as much, how much dye there is. I just wanted to measure for this first time with the alpaca blend, even though there's still a tiny bit of blue left in there. Because there's a lot of dye left in those containers. Excuse me, I think there was something I did when I used some, and there was like a lot more dye left than I thought. So, yeah, but I plan to use them. Yeah, the teal is beautiful. And I'm glad that it worked nicely on the stroll. But I think especially if you're going to dip dye and try to break the colors on superwash yarns, my go-to for a lot of dyeing is to use 2 to 3 tablespoons of vinegar when I dye yarn. If you're going to use a superwash yarn like the stroll, and you want the colors and you want to see extreme breaking and not have like a very pale color at the end, reduce the amount of vinegar, because you'll slow down the absorption of the blue, so it'll take longer to absorb, and it should still absorb well. You can always add more vinegar at the end like we did with the silk, but then you get the dramatic gradient of color, because if there's too much vinegar, it'll go like that, and then you end up with a situation where, did it break, or is it just a paler version of the color? Because with the yellows, if you have a lot of yellow in the pot, it looks orange. So with some of the breaking orange stuff, it's like, well, did the color break, or is it just because there's less yellow? But I think that we do see some breaking with some of these oranges, especially with the red number 3. So I think like the rates seem to go like red 3 is really fast. Red 40 is a bit slower. The yellows, and I don't know much about the 2 different yellows, but the yellows are slower than the reds, and then the blue number 1 is the slowest. But that's just mostly anecdotal. So then I'm going to do 1/2 violet and 1/2 cup. I'm taking some notes so that way I can when I do the recap, since there's going to be, I guess, 8 skeins of yarns this morning. So that way I can keep the conditions straight. So I've now got my new dye pot notebook. Oh, you have to duck out. Yeah, thanks for joining for so long. Bye. Have a great day. Yeah, but I think that this next one will probably be the last one that I do, because after that I'll have to start getting ready to clean up a little bit for the family to come home. But they're not going to be leaving Grandmama's for another half hour. So, we're boiling. All right, we can get going. on this next one. I am curious if the alpaca will be as slow as, say, like the silk, or how it'll be different. Because alpaca is still a protein-based fiber, but it's, you know, different from wools. So, you know, I'm just squeezing out the pre-soak is right here next to me, and so let's get ready to dip dye. It smells good. This Imagination yarn, which again is 25% alpaca, 25% nylon, 50% merino. And so we will see how this does with Wilton's Violet. Alrighty. And, okay, but let's reduce this temperature a bit. And before I start dip dyeing, let's check. Okay, because it's been about 4.5 minutes. I'm going to turn off the timer so it doesn't start going off as I'm dip dyeing. And, you know, there's still some blue in here, but it's mostly all in the yarn. I'm going to turn off this heat and let this sit kind of in here for a little bit to absorb some more color. Oh, I do. Someone pointed out that I sing like do. I was like, I'm thinking, and now I caught myself. All right. Should I can put on my hands. We'll see if my gloves slip on easily. Depends a lot. With some experiments, will we be able to reuse the same gloves over and over? And sometimes because my hands get too sweaty or too wet, I just can't get them back on. So, all right, so this was our teal, the residual teal cup. And I don't know yet what I'm going to do with this leftover color that's kind of like a hodgepodge mix of everything. But, oh, maybe I will have to do like get one last skein of yarn to do with this leftover, or I'll just save it for a different day. Anyway, we've got, it didn't really, okay, so some might crash out a bit, but we've got our Wilton's Violet. It's it is a half teaspoon because it's 2/4 teaspoons. A little bit is left, but I don't want to wait too long to start dip dyeing because I know that the reds will start to crash out. But here is our Imagination yarn. And again, we've got 2 tablespoons of vinegar in what started off as 8 cups of water. And I am slowly dip dyeing into here. Using my tongs to assist. But yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, we're at the blue. So that went nice and fast. And ooh, so I don't know if the alpaca slows things down or not, but we got a nice bright blue here towards the end. I don't know if that'll get more purple, but let's keep this heat low and give this 5 minutes. I think, okay, so let's see what I have left. So this color, it's a lot of violet, but it's got some teal and it's got some other colors in it as well. Maybe I'm going to go grab, I think I'm going to go grab one more skein of yarn because I think that I don't want to save this hodgepodge dye for another day. We've got this epic, like marathon of dyeing this morning. I don't want it to sit for a week before I have time to dye again. So I am going to run upstairs and grab a wool. I'm going to go upstairs and grab a skein of yarn. Not 100% sure of what I'm going to grab. Probably Wool of the Andes, but I might change my mind. And then but as I go, I'm going to put you guys to a brief commercial break. Not everyone will necessarily see the ad, but thank you for hanging out. And so I'm going to do this as I
run upstairs. I know that there's a bit of delay, so I'm not really sure about the timing of insertion, but I will be back in a moment, if I can. All right. Okay, I will be right back. Ah, there we go. All right, I am back. Thank you all for putting up with the ads and sticking around. Here, the playing the ads helps support. I've used a lot of yarn today for one video, so this will hopefully help support this big dye adventure. But I did just grab some worsted weight wool of the Andes yarn. It's 100% wool, Peruvian Highland wool, and I'm pre-soaking it in some plain tap water. I'm not sure quite how long it'll pre-soak, but it'll at least be pre-wet, a little more than pre-wet by the time we dip dye in this leftover mixed dye that has a little bit of everything that we've used here today, but a lot of violet. So FYI, you're a YouTube Red subscriber, so you don't see ads. Yes, I do get I get some credit for YouTube Red subscribers watching because since you guys pay to see no ads, they give us some, like, I don't know how to calculate any of it, but we get something. And I know that, like, whenever I press the play ad button, not everybody will see an ad. Like, YouTube decides, like I say, insert an ad, but YouTube decides who sees it. Some countries don't see it. So of all these times, maybe you'll see one time, but not another. It's all up to their algorithms. So, yeah, I don't really have much control over that. But all right, let's go see. Okay, well, we're about 1 minute away, but I can still take a peek at back here. Our creamy peach. Yeah, that's cleared. The creamy peach actually gave us way more orange than I expected. So when I started dip dyeing in it, if you're tuning in later, it was definitely, when it first went in, I was like, whoa, pink. And I mean, it has red number 3 in it. And so the way I have it right now, you can't really see the yellow at the end. So I'll have to show more on the replay. But I mean, this is not even really orange. This is pink, kind of like hot pink. Maybe with a tinge of orange in there, but it's still reading very pink to me. So there's definitely some breaking that happened here. And I think that peach is a perfect name for this breaking because these are like the colors that you see in a slice of peach. So I think that that's awesome. All right, let's see, is this cool enough to go onto the floor? I've got these bowls everywhere. It's just bowls everywhere. Let's see how our, interesting. So this is our alpaca blend, and I think it's non-superwash, but we had 2 tablespoons of vinegar in there already, but look at that. We have a lot of blue. And so this might be, so I mentioned that someone did an experiment where they used dip dyed both a superwash wool yarn and then a wool alpaca silk blend at the same time. And the colors came out really different. And I think that the alpaca and the silk both look like they absorb dye slower than wool. And so, but the pink still absorbed pretty fast.
So that might be why they ended up looking more pink, because the superwash sucked then pretty much everything else in, whereas the silk and alpaca maybe just took up some pink. So I'm really excited to do that. That'll be a Dye Pot Weekly episode, I think, where I do both at the same time. Yeah, I mean, and as it dries, it might look, sometimes it looks orange, but sometimes like it just, like, it's a pink orange, if you know what I mean by that. Because there's definitely some yellow there. Have you considered using primary colors to make my own colors? I've done that some more with acid dyes. And so I'm about to film Dye Pot Weekly. Oh, I should start setting up for. I'm about to film Dye Pot Weekly episode number 35. And I've actually probably started 36 and 37. But for the last episode that is like funded by the Kickstarter, okay, that's clear. The last episode funded by the Kickstarter, I really wanted to do something special. So I'm going to recreate the first yarn that I ever made with hand painting. And that I started with, where did my tongs go? Oh, they're down here on the stool. For that, I started with lemonade, blue raspberry lemonade, and cherry Kool-Aid. And then I added some of the liquid McCormick food coloring colors to that to mix sort of my own colors. And so I mixed the colors and then I sort of added them together as a bit of a gradient. So that's the long way to say yes. Sometimes I will do something where I'm mixing more of my colors. But look at the blue and the teal. That is so awesome. So awesome. Space. Okay. And now, I think I'm going to go ahead and actually wait. Because I'm now curious. So that was the 8-in-1, and the peach was also 8-in-1. Okay. I mean, the concentration of these pots are now a bit different, but ultimately they're pretty similar. But this is also so both of these dye baths started off with 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 8 cups of water. And at various times we've altered. Oh gosh. Goodness gracious. Is this cool enough for me to... There we go. Move to the top and that fixed that. Okay. So we're going to bring this up to a boil. And I don't think I set another timer. It's still a lot of blue. I think I'm going to go ahead and add another tablespoon of vinegar to that pot. It's possible that just time with the alpaca would be enough for the color to absorb, but I don't have infinite more time. So there's another tablespoon of vinegar. Ooh! This is what happens when I don't pay enough attention. I'm fine. I just stuck my finger in there. This is why feedback, your neurons are great at feedback. I'm not even burnt or anything. It was just hot. Okay, so we're warming up here. And I've got, we've got our dye that has, it's got a lot of violet. Probably will have some more violet, but it's got some peach. We've got some teal. We've got some ivory. So I'm curious how we'll end up looking. But it'll probably be, my guess is somewhere around violet delphinium, because I think that there's the most violet. I did a lot of violet today. This is looking pretty purple. But we won't know until, we won't really know until we dip dye. Cleaning up, so that's a little spill. Come on. Yeah, so it'll probably be pretty purple, but will be fun. If all fails, hit it with something.
I said flamingo when, oh, with the, yeah, with the pink. Yeah, that first, because when it first started, I was just like, oh, that's hot pink. But then the yellows absorbed slower, so then that made it more orange. So my opinion on that color changes a bit with time. But yeah, the alpaca, ooh, I love it. But see, this is good to know. And so I'm kind of glad that I was just messing around with the silk blend and the alpaca blend before doing this other experiment. Because now, in addition to it being an experiment, we know from these observations that we need more acid and time for the food coloring to absorb to these fibers. And again, look, we've seen superwash wool and non-superwash treated wools take up color extremely differently. You look at the first Valentine's Day special where I used sprinkles on the Stroll yarn, Wool of the Andes, and Wool of the Andes superwash. You can see like how discreet the speckles are from the sugar sprinkles on the superwash yarn and the Stroll, but how they sort of spread out a lot more on the wool. And it's because the colors just don't strike quite as fast. Oh yeah, if all fails, hit it with something. Yes, the burner. I got confused for a second. I know that I think you guys are on, I think the delay is probably about a minute or so. I didn't set the delay, that's probably what happens for the upload and stuff. Someone did an interesting experiment with vinegar versus no vinegar this weekend. Ooh, I can't wait to see the pictures. Yeah, I've started playing around more with starting off with no vinegar. There actually is a video when I was trying to do the sex reveal, my first pregnancy. I was like, oh, I'll set this up, 2 cups of water. I'll have pink food coloring in one, blue in the other. I'll add vinegar to one and not the other once I know. And then, this will be this is why you need acid. But of course, they both took color. And so I was like, oh, well, I didn't get a both answer. So, but it's kind of been fun, especially with the non-superwash wool to start off with no vinegar, because especially with dyeing like a hand-wound ball of yarn or a cake of yarn, you get a lot of good color penetration towards the center. And I need to still try this with a superwash yarn because I'm not sure, the colors, you see when I dip into these pots, the colors strike like that. Now, with the alpaca blend, you would probably still get some deep colors in the middle because it takes a while for the colors to absorb. But with but with something that's just superwash wool, you might end up with just a very pale color in the middle. Or with some of those yarn cakes that I've done, you get a lot of color on the outside and not much on the interior as you do with the cake dyeing I did with Palette, which is the fingering weight 100% wool. So, oh yeah, I love teal and purple. I mean, it's hard for me to sometimes not always do purple. And so when, I forget if it was in a live stream, it was like, oh, any color requests. And so I've got some things with some more yellow. And so I try to mix it up beyond just my personal preference. But I think we're about ready to add the dye and to start dip dyeing. It hasn't been 20 minutes or anything, but our fibers are at least wet. So we should get something cool with this mix. Oh, but I do want to write down the mix, number 9, the rest, all dyes left over. It was 8. 1, 2, 1. Go over there. 1, 2. Okay. Kind of keeping track of this is the lineage of our dye bath water since we're reusing dye baths. But so this is also fun to show that so you exhaust the dye, but the acid remains. So you can keep using it over and over and over. I mean, obviously there's nothing that requires you to do that, but it sort of just saves a bit of water and I don't have a bowl though to set the yarn in. That's okay. All right. Oh, and Mr. Alpaca is bubbling. I didn't set a timer again, but let's see. We've still got some color there. All right, Mr. Alpaca or Ms. Alpaca, I'm going to turn off the heat and let you sit. And
my new dye bath, you are also just kind of getting some dye off of, oh, come on, you stubborn dude. There we go. All right, so this is very kind of purplish, but again, this is 100% wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn, and slowly, so you can see that since hasn't been in too long, that the colors are going a little slow. But actually, there's probably not that much. Probably will need to add some more vinegar here, because I just added 2 cups. And let's see what color. Okay, we're blue. But you can see that when I dip in and raise it back out, that the blue sort of disappears. And that's just because there's not enough acid. That's why the yarn is looking so pink. And if I add it in, you see the blue, but if I pulled it back out, it would look kind of pink. So let's add. Okay, so this is over an additional tablespoon of vinegar. Dipped, and plus 1 tea plus. We'll see if I can deconstruct these notes later. You have some powdered food dyes. We want to get pepper pots. What are some pepper pots? Yeah, you're thinking of trying some other brands? Yeah, so I've got, okay, good, I did set a timer. So I have some powder, you guys can see me while I chat. I have some powdered food colorings. I haven't used them yet, but I, absolutely intend to use them at some point. And so I have those just in my stash. And, I'm also interested in looking at other brands. So I started with mostly McCormick's before I got Wilton's, because I liked the being able to drop. And the Wilton's Color Right color performance system is pretty nice as well. The colors are really intense. And yeah, I've been pretty happy with that. I haven't tried like AmeriColor and some other brands that are out there as much, because my shift is now more towards acid dyes, which again, I've just got acid dyes. So far I've only used the Jacquard. I do have some Dharma brand colors that I've been told break, but I haven't started playing with those yet. And yeah, I think that ultimately it's gonna, like with other brands, like to some extent I want to mess around with other brands, but the proportions and all will be different and you'll get different results. But I absolutely encourage you guys to play around with all the brands. How well does Angora take dye? I haven't, so I have, do I have Angora? What is in, let me look up and remember what I have. So I've got some, so Angora is a protein-based fiber. I would imagine that it would take up dye really well. What I don't know is if it would be slower than wool or not. Oh, so pepper pots are little pots with holes in them for, oh, that's cool. Dye your own yarn. So I've got some, so I don't have that. I've got, I have some 100% silk yarn, but I haven't dyed that yet. Let's roll the Andes hair. Okay, so I do have some Bear Hair yarn, which is 80% merino, 20% Angora. So that's something I have in my stash. And I also have What's the yarn? Because I don't think it shows up under bare yarns, but I have, okay, so I have some Aloft yarn, which is 72% super kid mohair and 28% silk. So I have some of that in terms of different fiber mixes that I haven't shown before. I think I got that in white. So I have some of that I can dye at some point. And so maybe with those, it's worth, since I know it well, worth looking at it with violet to see how it compares to, say, the Stroll. But I was looking, I'm on the Knit Picks page right now. Oh, it's the Stroll Sport that was showing up. Okay. Because the Stroll Sport is still interesting, $7.59. I think they raised the price on the Stroll fingering, maybe because it sells out all the time. But it's funny, one time I called and I was like, oh, do you know when it's going to come back in stock? They keep moving the date back, and it came in stock that day. So that was exciting, but I think it's out of stock right now. Although, yeah, oh, did it go back a couple more days? It's now saying 3/12 is when it'll come back in stock. Bummer. But the sock blanks are in stock if you want to pick one up to rush for the sock blank special. But yeah, I have to conserve my Stroll. You got beautiful breaking with the, yeah, I haven't broken the Color Right black yet. I'm not sure how the proportions kind of like compare. So, you know, we got something that's very, what we have here, and the color, you know, it's basically clear, although there's a lot of water in here, so it can, I'm going to let it cool in the pot. But we have something here that we didn't use any delphinium blue today, but the yarn that we got is reminiscent of delphinium blue, which has some yellow in it. So this is a bit more of a teal, and it mutes our pinks a bit, but you know, it's very purple because we had a lot of violet in there. But these colors, whew, they're so intense. And you can see, okay, we're really, really close to clearing here. And I don't want to felt this, but I am going to continue to let this is the Alpaca blend, the Imagination yarn, to continue to let this cool. But I think that I will go through a quick recap of our yarns before I sign off, because he's probably picking up the kids from Grandmama's right now and are going to head home, and so I gotta clean up a bit. But we've got almost 3 hours, you guys. Oh no, I closed my one from Deep Plum to a Deep Evergreen. That's really cool. I closed my thing that's showing me the information. But this is a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the yarns to do a little bit of a recap. Okay, and you know, we've done some recaps in the middle as well, but I know that this way we can just kind of see the colors of everything. Okay, so we started off with some McCormick's Yellow and dip dyed Stroll into that. Stroll is the Superwash Merino nylon blend. And oh, my link, these are all Knit Picks yarns, and my affiliate link to Knit Picks, to the Knit Picks Bear yarns, is in the video description. So if you would like to buy some to dye along at home, please use my link. So this was Wilton's Ivory on the Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So I'm not necessarily going in order right now, but I'm going with some of the non-violet colors first. So we did 100 grams of the Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn in peach, creamy peach, and we've got this really pretty sunset, or peachy gradient. And then we dip dyed Stroll into teal, and so this goes from a blue-green to a blue, because the yellows exhaust before the blues did. And then, in addition to all that, since we're now out of order, but I wanted to show all of our broken violets kind of at once. And they haven't been rearranged in here yet, but we've done, for the first time I did a wool silk blend. And I've also, in this pot over here, we've got a wool alpaca blend. And both of those absorbed the blue significantly slower than the wools, or even superwash, and especially superwash wools, like in the stroll. But in this bowl in my hand, we have two stroll skeins. One of them is the stroll glimmer, so it has the stellina throughout the yarn, which actually turned pink, a little pink in here. But, you know, so this alpaca is so much slower than, oh, that was hot. I'm okay, don't worry. So both the alpaca and the silk blends, even with their high percentage of wool, I think that, you know, this is only 25% alpaca, and the wool silk was only 30% silk. I mean, this is 50% wool, but they still absorbed color significantly slower than even, say, on 100% wool yarn. So that's something to keep in mind. And starting at less, the other thing that we were really exploring today is starting at a lower concentration of acid. So adding maybe 1 tablespoon instead of 2 to 3. And so since it's slowed, the reds still strike as quickly as we're used to, but this significantly slows down the absorption of the blues. And so you need to add more acid, which means that we are getting these more dramatic and more extreme gradients because we haven't used up the blue by the time we've hit the end. And also, rather than having more blue at the first end we dip in, by the time we've added all the yarn and added more vinegar, we're sort of getting even blue coverage over the entire skein of yarn versus, you know, gradient of dark to light if you were to kind of like drop down the red from your mind. So that's fun. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. This was, how many, we did 9 skeins of yarn today in what, just under 3 hours. That's pretty good. And also had time to chat and hang out. And so that's been fun. So I don't know if all the live streams next week will necessarily be this long. They'll probably range from 1 to maybe 3 hours, depending on how it's going. But so if you can't join at the beginning, you know, try joining in the middle. It might not be as easy as today to do a recap, you know, if you just joined of the other yarns we did. But, you know, I'll keep going as long as it makes sense with the different techniques. And we'll be doing a lot in these live streams, a lot of hand painting. And so those techniques tend to take a bit longer than the dip dyeing. So I don't know if I'll be able to do I doubt I'll be able to do 9 blanks in one stream, but maybe 2 to 3 or 1 to 3 in the streams. So yeah, I hope that, you know, I dropped the link. I don't know if the link is in the video description. I believe that it's on a card, so there's like a little information signal and the links there for the dye-along schedule. Let me just look. Yes, okay, so the link to the live stream schedule is in the video description. So if you want to check that out so you can be ready to either dye along while you're watching me or just watch and think about how you want to dye your own blanks later, that is there. And last night I unboxed a new the Loops and Threads knitting machine, so there's a live stream from that from the first time I've used it. I don't think I'll have a non-live video with that machine until until after the Sock Blank special, but it's great. I really like it. I like it a lot better than the Singer knitting machines. But I really, really appreciate all of you joining me today for this. This was a lot of fun, and I really I was kind of itching to just go and dye some yarn and play. And, I was thinking I just need an evening to do this. And I was like, I have this period of time, this stretch of time. I should just do it live, and then I can chat and not be alone. And so it was really fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days to tune in, even if it's for a short period of time. It's still really fun and means a lot to me. I just appreciate all of your support so much. It makes
doing something I love that much more fun that I get to share it with you and that you guys seem to appreciate it. And so it really means a lot to me. So thank you. But I will do later this week is I will film, and then we'll probably have to edit it some because there's so many yarns. But I will do a recap once they're dry of all the yarns that we dyed in the live stream today. So that way you can see what they look like dry, and I can have the color balance set better so you can get a better sense of the colors. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, and oh yeah, I'm sorry. I am signing off now. The kids are about home, and I gotta clean up all this equipment before they come through the door. Probably have a good 15 minutes before they come in. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I hope that you guys have a lot of fun in your dyeing adventures. And thank you for the inspiration, and I will see all of you soon. Bye, everyone. I have to press